Well, I'm in a bit of a pickle, and these types of videos I don't like making because they usually cost me a lot of money. I am back from the Cybertruck delivery event. Drove the 1,100 miles there and back, straight through nonstop. But we took a different vehicle. When I got back, I got in my car on the weekend and I was greeted with an alert. And it says, cabin climate control system requires service. And I have no heat. And it's Iowa and it's winter and it's cold. So other than the seat heaters, I have no heat. So what's the deal? Well, I tried to do a little bit of troubleshooting myself, and if you click on the message, you get an alert that says VC front _ A447 climate control system requires service. And it turns out I needed to schedule some service. So in order to troubleshoot any further, I decided to say, let's go to the service mode and check that out. Now, in order to get to the service mode, you select software and you hold your finger on the Model Y or the Model 3 or whatever you have for a few seconds, and you let off, and it gives you a code to enter in. The code you want to enter is service. And yes, I want to go ahead and enable service mode. And the screen changes with a red border, and from there, I want to pick thermal systems, and I want to pick sensors and valves. And you will see that I have a big red dot on the compressor called the compressor fault. And I click that and it says compressor self fault. And that's a problem. Yeah, I think it's a big problem. So what do? You reach out to Tesla through the service of your app and say, I have a problem. And I sent a couple of screenshots and they came back and said, yep, you've got a problem. And that problem is going to cost you about $1,400 to fix, plus tax, so around $1,500 total. And the reason why it's going to cost me money is because my car is out of warranty. I have 57,500 miles and the standard warranty is 50,000. I did not buy the extended warranty. So this is going to cost me that. And I went, great, fantastic. When can I get it fixed? Well, I'm sitting here on December 4th, and the soonest they can get me in is December 14th, which is a bit of inconvenience, not having heat for about 2 weeks, but there you go. I'll get by. The seat heaters will be fine. I'll wear gloves, hat, whatever. But in the back and forth with the service center exchange, I started asking some questions, because I know that the compressor system, the thermal system, also regulates the battery and all of the other systems on the motors. And I'm like, do I need to be concerned with like supercharging or driving the 2 hours I need to get to the service center? And their response came back was, yeah, we recommend you don't drive your car, and we recommend that you have it towed to the service center 2 hours away. In doing some investigation on the towing, they said you can reach out to the roadside assistance and set up towing, and that's basically what I attempted to do. And I did that, and I said, before you actually send a truck over, let me know what the cost of that's going to be. And very quickly they came back with a very nice cost of $720 to tow my car 120 miles to the service center, which is outrageously high. Maybe it's not. It feels high, but that's where we're at. So the next step of this process is, and this is where I'm at right now in this video, is what do? I've had some back and forth saying, what kind of problems am I going to run into if I drive this? And they're saying, well, you could damage your high voltage system. You could damage your battery pack. You could damage your motors. You can damage the drivetrain. Seems pretty bad, which kind of leaves me with the situation that I'm in right now, which is I'm going to have to probably break down and pay the money to have my car towed by flatbed 120 miles to the service center, which is going to end up costing me about $2,200, $2,300 when this is all said and done, assuming they don't find anything else. So that's where I'm at right now. And fortunately, I have two Model Ys, and we're going to make that work by just me driving my wife's Model Y. And this is going to sit here until I figure out how to get this car to Des Moines safely. Checking in again. It's been about a week and there hasn't been a lot of activity. I've actually been driving my car because in town I think I'm fine. It's been fine, but it's been cold here in Iowa and I don't have heat. But thankfully the seat heater does its job and I have a heated garage, so overnight my car doesn't cold soak and get super, super cold. So that's helpful. But today is the day. Today is the day that I am going to attempt to have the car towed 2 hours from Cedar Rapids, Iowa over to the service center in Des Moines. I am using AAA, and so far their communication is terrible. So I'm not sure if they're coming. I'm not sure if they aren't, but I guess we'll see how it goes. I'll check in on the next step. Well, it's never a dull moment, but I'll get to that in a second. The car got loaded on a truck to get towed away. I have to admit, it isn't a sight that I was particularly happy to see, but it went smooth. Once I was able to get things straightened out with AAA and the guy showed up, it wasn't the time that we agreed to, but that's fine. Car got loaded on the flatbed. It was, because the car is drivable, they were just able to drive it up, strap it on, and I watched it drive away. And it was on its way for its 2-hour journey to Des Moines to the service center. I have to admit, I did check in on it because I turned on Sentry mode and pulled up the cameras, and I was able to watch the car drive down the road. In fact, I even watched it pull into the service center, even though the connection over cellular was poor. In hindsight, that probably wasn't the best thing to do because as people on X have pointed out to me as I've been explaining what's been going on in this process, that turning on Sentry mode basically enabled the car alarm, and the car is on the back of a moving truck that's bouncing around on the road, and there was a good chance that I was going to set off the car alarm and scare the living bejesus out of the guy driving. And I suppose that could have happened, but it didn't happen. But so the car is there. I got it there a day before my appointment, and I'm sitting here the day after, and I have an update because I was contacted by Tesla and said, well, that $1,500 charge estimate that we gave you, we got to do more stuff. Not only do they have to replace the compressor or heat pump, but they also have to replace what they're calling the super manifold, and they're also saying they have to replace all the AC lines because the damage was more extensive. And I don't know why. They're just telling me that it is. I haven't gotten that figured out yet. Hopefully by the end of this video, I'll give you some direction on that, but perhaps not. So they ended up giving me a new estimate, and it's no longer $1,500. It is $2,600. Ouch. And I am not under warranty. And for those of you that are wondering, I have a early model 2021 long-range Tesla Model Y that was built around October of 2020, and it had 57,500 miles on it at the time of the damage, and standard warranty is 50,000. I did not buy the extended warranty. Maybe I should have. But anyway, 2,600 bucks. So I reached out to him and I said, listen, is there anything you can do? I'm only, 7,000 miles out of warranty, less than 6 months. Is there something you can do? Well, they called me back and they said, well, because it's so soon out of warranty, they're going to cut the labor rate in half, but I still have to pay full price for the parts. So the 2,600 is now like 2,200 and change. So not great, but I'll take it. 500 bucks is still 500 bucks. So that's the update for repair day. So if anything else happens, you'll know about it here next. Now that the car is at the service center, now might be a good time to show you what that experience is like. I was able to get some Sentry video as it was pulling into the service center, but that didn't last long. Now, one of the first things that Tesla does is put your car in what's called service mode. Now, you can see that the car is in service mode from the app, and you can also see the battery percentage, but there's not much else that you can see about the car. Instead, the controls on the screen change to walk you through the service process. The first thing that you can see is that it'll give you an estimated completion time for when the repair is going to be completed. And for me, it said Monday, December 18th. However, they told me that they were going to do their best shot to have it done by the end of the day on the Saturday and not the Monday, which will allow me to get the car over the weekend, which works out much better for my holiday plans. You also have access to all of your messages, as most of the communication between you and Tesla is going to be via the in-app messaging. Now from here, I'm going to walk you through the 8 steps of the process. Now, step 1 is car preparation. I already got that done when I had made the arrangements of putting it in for service. Now, step 2 is for you to approve the estimate to actually fix the car, and you can choose to view the estimate at any time, and you can see that my estimate is for a total of $2,300. Now, step 3 covers transport. Now, if you have a loaner car, that information will show up here, and in my case, I didn't have a loaner car. Step 4 will walk you through the drop-off process, and for me, this was done by Tesla when it arrived on the tow truck. Step 5 is where the meat and potatoes happen. This is where you can track the current progress of the repair. However, they really don't show you much in the way of details. Step 6 covers payment. Now, once the service is done, this is where you will go to pay for the repair. Step 7 is where you do the hands-free pickup of your car, and step 8 is where you can share some feedback and see a service summary. Fortunately for me, Tesla was able to complete the repair by the end of the day on Saturday, and my plan was to pick up the car the next day, which was a Sunday. Even though they were closed, they could put the key card in my car and lock it, and I could use my phone to get the car without their involvement at all. Now, I did end up paying for the repair through the app itself, and not long after that, they turned off service mode. Now, once off, I was able to look at the Sentry Mode cameras again, and they were nice enough to actually hand wash the car before leaving it outside. So the next day, my wife and I drove her purple Model Y the 2 hours over to Des Moines and found my car right where they said they would leave it. They had wall connectors on the site, so I was able to make sure that I had a full charge before making the long journey home. Picked up the car from the Tesla Service Center. It was a little over 2-hour drive to get there, and now we're making our way back. And it's been relatively uneventful. The only thing that I've noted in the car so far that is a little weird is that they turned off FSD beta for some reason. I had to re-enable it. Not sure why that happened, but everything else appears to be normal. So at the end of the day, Tesla ended up replacing the compressor, the super manifold, and all the AC lines for a grand total of $2,321. And that's with the 50% discount on the labor that I negotiated. The next question that I wanted to have answered is, why did this fail? I know that early Model Ys had a heat pump issue, and it was covered under a real factory recall a couple of years ago. Now, at the time, they didn't replace the compressor. They only replaced some sensors, and they said that my compressor was fine. I still don't have any good answers as to why it failed, other than it just failed. Now, they did say they replaced it with some upgraded equipment, which does imply that Tesla did change the design at some point along the way. I also asked Tesla what I needed to do to make sure that this didn't happen again, and they responded more than once saying that their only recommendation is that I always keep the climate control set to auto. Now, I'm not sure why this would be their explanation, but it gives me pause that running the climate in manual might be a problem. In the end, this was all I was able to get out of Tesla, and I'll just need to live the fact that I won't fully know what happened. Overall, I accepted what happened as something that happens to all cars. Teslas are hyped as being maintenance-free cars, and for the most part, they are. Up until this point, all I've needed to do with this car is fill up the windshield wiper fluid, and I did replace one set of tires at 55,000 miles. That said, they can still break, and the really expensive stuff like the motors and the batteries are still under warranty and will be for a while longer. Now, Teslas are great cars, and I don't want this video to discourage anybody from getting one. I would do it again and again in a heartbeat. If you're considering the purchase of a Tesla of your own, make sure you use a referral link to save you some money on that purchase. Use any referral link you want, but if you want to use mine, that's great too. Also, if you found this video helpful, please do me a favor and click that like button. And if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll catch you on the next video.